right, is the following term still in vogue, in use? Mean mug? Because I feel like being week one, and now we have an edition of Cardinals Underground that most certainly counts, that we should be like, have our mean mugs on. We should be mean mugging each other, both a noun and a verb. And I'm a little skittish, Dani, because truth be told, there I was, the final preseason game. Dave Pash was in Dublin, Ireland, calling an international game. By the way.
Have you been to Dublin, Paul?
I have not.
I have.
Wow. So
Cool.
there's a flex right out of the gate. So, ding, Darren leads 1-0.
No.
Dani, Sureck already protesting.
Yes.
And yours truly, Paul Calvisi, explaining himself when I was trying to offer in the second half of the final preseason game my all under the radar list, or maybe it was my elevator list. I'm not sure exactly.
One of your many lists.
And I used the term, under the radar, or as the kids say, low key. And Sam Acho on live TV on NFL Network said, "Yeah, Paul, I'm not sure they even use that anymore." So that didn't go well for me.
Here's the reality, Paul. You have 2 teens at home. If you can't keep up with it, that's poor preparation on your part.
That's even more that's on me. Is that what you're saying?
I am
completely
saying that, yeah.
culpable. So I don't know. I feel like, do we need to act a little differently because it is week 1 of the regular season and this one counts? Do we need to have a more serious or dramatic or mean mug on of some sort?
Not me. I stay regular season ready.
Okay. So
I thought that's how he's always look.
It's pretty good.
Paul.
It's pretty good.
I mean, I will say all the questions and it always
maybe I
kind
should sit up straighter. Oh no, there's no way. Now we gotta bleep that. That's unbelievable. Okay, if the light,
Winning behavior.
now the face I have is red. That's oh my goodness.
I was going to let it fly, and then Darren just started
my
laughing.
goodness.
no, well, I got people on
Wow.
the other side of the glass celebrating.
Wow.
So
This is gonna go really
got
bad for me.
Cody doing a cabbage patch over there.
Where were we?
I forget.
Hashtag it can always get worse. Just did. Okay, so would this be a good time to break out a prop? Like my keys to the
Your
game,
key
right?
is back.
I'm trying to
That's big time.
deflect. All right, so we've got a rousing edition of Cardinals Underground straight ahead here.
It's
Among
the first
other
week
things,
I heard, Paul.
Wise guy, winning behaviors coming our way. We're talking about all the relevant Cardinal topics. Somebody might even drop in a 4-letter S-bomb here and there just to make sure everyone's paying attention. And other than that, all right, I'm going to give you my key to this season.
All right, we're listening.
The biggest key has nothing to do with Kyler. Has nothing to do with the big free agent signing of Josh Sweat. The key to this coming season is the 2024 draft class. If the first 5 picks can make the leap that you think, actually I'm not including Elijah Jones. I'm talking about Marvin Harrison Jr., Darius Robinson round 1, Max Melton, let's not forget about Max. Right now I'd call him CB1. Yes, we're talking to you, Agent Zero. Round 3, Isaiah Adams, Tip Ryman. More on Tip Ryman in a minute. And then round 4, Rabbit, who I think is going to get more and more playing time as this season unfolds. If you're telling me those guys I just named in the 2024 draft class, they all take that leap and evolve, I think this team evolves and leaps and goes from 4 wins to 8 wins to the postseason.
It's one of your better takes, Paul. It's No, I'm not being facetious.
I know you're not, but that's what makes it so hilarious.
I mean, she genuinely said, without saying it, turn on the light in honor of your take there, Darren, and you're denigrating it. Okay.
I didn't
all right,
denigrate
here we
anything.
go.
I just found it
Continue. Please, Dani, continue.
You hit it right on the nose, Paul. And this coaching staff and front office agrees when you're looking at the consistency in a lot of those position rooms and the fact that they are very clearly relying on these young players to take a step forward. Starting with wide receiver 1, Marvin Harrison Jr. put on 11 pounds of muscle. That has been the hot topic of the offseason. What does a year 2 jump look like for a rookie who had a good rookie, or second-year player who had a good rookie year and has been working on that chemistry with his quarterback all offseason? Darius Robinson, who only played 6 games last year, who looks just as big and strong and fast and scary as he did this time last year before getting hurt. There's a lot of, not expectations because the players and coaches won't use that word, but you need to see a jump in a lot of these players. And the good thing is these players have had very extensive live reps. They all got a lot of looks in 2024, which helps that jump, that evolution going into year 2, because you are already comfortable with the speed of the game, with the communication. Now it's about putting on that muscle. It's about fine-tuning your skills and making sure you can win your one-on-one reps more consistently. I like that take. 2024 draft class stepping up.
By the way, sidebar list, we had Marcus Golden on the Big Red Rage last week, and part of our intro was once upon a time when Marcus Golden was starring for the Cardinals, he was always our choice as our personal protector. If we had to walk into a biker bar with a bunch of Hell's Angels, we'd take Marcus Golden.
Okay.
Right here, right now on this team, I'd say Darius Robinson. I'd have a hard time picking anyone other than Darius Robinson.
Will Hernandez.
Ooh,
That's a good one. Here's the thing
And
with
you want to know why? Because you talk about mean mugs. Will Hernandez can mean mug with the best of them.
He does.
I'm
You're
not
right.
so sure Darius does anything but smile.
Well, that's what Marcus Golden is such a nice human being. I don't know that he's throwing any punches that he doesn't need to.
Although Will Hernandez with a mustache, it makes him a little more lovable, a little bit. If he really wants to mean mug, Will Hernandez needs to go,
Maybe.
without
Possible. I'm sorry, I can't get the J.J. Watt thing out of my head. Crashing into the refrigerator that is Will Hernandez and bouncing backwards.
Yeah, that is
I mean,
true.
let's not forget defensive lineman Dalvin Tomlinson. I mean, if an offensive lineman's
Also
going to call
true.
him a wall, I'd feel pretty safe walking behind him into a biker bar.
If you need to pave your way out of the biker bar, following the lead block of either Dalvin Tomlinson or Will Hernandez, that would be key, no doubt about it. All right, so there's one right there. I mean, not just Marvin Harrison Jr., not just Darius Robinson. Let's not forget Max Melton, because every team has it. Even the Saints, right, have Chris Olave. And by the way, if it is Will Johnson against Chris Olave, I feel for that guy. I mean, the Michigan man just can't escape Ohio State dudes, whether it's in practice, whether it's coaches, whether it's people on the staff. He told you that, right, Dani, when you interviewed Will Johnson one-on-one? He said, I'm an island unto myself on this team.
He's all by himself, yeah.
Well, the bottom line is if you're a cornerback, you're always on an island.
So that's a good one. You know what? Give
No,
Darren the light on
Paul.
that. No, that was a good turn.
You were
That was a good turn of phrase right there.
friendly with the light today.
I'm
I'll
also
tell
trying
you.
to buy myself time getting to Isaiah Adams as I segue in round 3, and then Tip Ryman, which brings me.
All right, wait. I gotta ask. I may have just misheard you.
No, don't bring
But
it up,
I do
Darren.
think that but see, I love that idea. If he meant to do it, did you mean to say Isaiah Adams, like rising?
No.
Or
I
right guard?
I thought I heard Isaiah, and I'm like,
No.
oh, that's a fantastic.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm talking too fast today. I got to slow down. Have I had too much coffee?
It's
Maybe
just
it's
week
just the
one.
pressure
You're
of week
excited.
one.
You dropped that expletive
Yeah.
out of the box. You're
Gotta turn down my
still
headphones.
scrambling.
Here's my other thought.
Yes.
If I gave you the choice of having an ISO cam on one player during the game, the old school picture-in-picture, and the reason why that really sparked was because Tip Ryman, I think we'd call it the collision cam. Tip Ryman, picture-in-picture, just whenever he's in the game, boom, put him in the mini box right there and just follow him around as he pancakes dudes.
I mean, isn't it going to be a lineman because we don't pay close enough attention to him? Probably. I mean, or a tight end, like a Tip Ryman. Because one of the first ones that comes to my head is I kind of want to see Calais and what he looks like in year 18 and on a snap by snap basis. But I mean, there's lots of them. Adams, the one you're just talking about, Isaiah Adams.
Yeah, the Calais cam, the interior O-line cam, that could be good. I mean, you want a collision cam, just put it in the A-gap, some sort of, instead of like, the pylon cam, just embed one in the A-gap. Can you do that?
How about we put a GoPro on James Conner's helmet? Ooh. You want to talk about collision cam?
That would be
running
good.
through defenders.
No, seriously. When the official spots the ball, he spots two things. He spots the ball, and then he buries the A-gap cam into the turf, and it points straight up, and you get that view right there at the epicenter of the line of scrimmage.
I like this even better than Ozempic for dogs, I'll be honest.
How about Will Johnson? How about the let the rook cook cam? You're following him around, and I don't know. Just thinking, I'm just trying to improve the broadcast, especially after ASU had its struggles in the second half. Darren, was that you? Was that you trying to watch on the streaming?
No, I
in
was
ASU?
actually there, so
Oh,
I
you were
didn't,
there.
I didn't have
That's
to
why I
watch
didn't see any angry tweeting from Darren.
Well, I don't know if I would have done an angry tweeting. They won the game. And they lost ground in the rankings, of course.
Really? So they started at 11.
One.
They
dropped
one.
one.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
For some
they have
reason.
one good season, and everyone just thinks top 10 team.
Okay.
What did Missouri do this weekend?
I'm not out here complaining about
just
anything.
Checking. All right.
I have another
Not
key.
about college football.
Another key to the season here.
Okay. Wait, how many key? Wouldn't key be one thing? If it's the key to the season?
Really on your tail today, Paul.
These are big picture.
Okay.
I'm actually going to get into specific keys for the offense and defense, but this is big picture.
Okay.
Okay, so 2024 draft class. And you could put this under the umbrella, obviously, of defense, but just Josh Sweat and the Chandler Jones effect. What happens if ... He's a 15 or 16 sack guy. Something the Cardinals have not had. I know. It's almost hard to envision because Chandler Jones seems like a generation ago. But if Josh Sweat is that guy, and there is reason to believe he could possibly be that guy if indeed Nick Rawls and Jonathan Gannon are going to use him the way Vic Fangio used him in the Super Bowl, and that's one of the big reasons that Josh Sweat said he came to the Arizona Cardinals, #FreeSweat. And if he's that guy, and then all of a sudden, let me give you an example. You guys tell me if this is accurate or not. The Rams gave the Eagles all they could handle in that playoff game, right?
Correct.
Who gave the Rams, by the way, all they could handle in Week 17? And if not for the deflection off the helmet of Trey McBride, the Cardinals would have swept the Rams. Anyway, that's just a sidebar. What happened to that Rams team? It wasn't the offense. It was the defense that got better. And where did the defense specifically get better? It was Jared Verse.
Yeah, that's true.
And Jared Verse ended up being a runaway defensive rookie of the year. And, oh, by the way, he pulled everyone along with him. It's funny how when Jared Verse became that dude and started getting double-teamed off the end, Braden Fisk went from 1 sack the first half of the season to 7 sacks as a defensive lineman the second half of the season. So that's part of my big picture question on Josh Sweat. I mean, give me a thought here. If he is that guy, and for the first time ever, Jonathan Gannon enjoys watching another team have to double team his edge rusher, and think of what that might open up for Nick Rawls.
It wasn't just Chandler Jones that time. Remember when J.J. Watt was here, and it's the same effect. When you have a player of such a high caliber that is going to require significant attention from your opponent, all that does is open up the playing field for whoever is opposite of them. If you can have Sweat be as disruptive as you are saying he can be, that's a double win because you are, 1, getting that disruption from Sweat himself, and 2, allowing players like Zaven Collins, Jordan Birch, Baron Browning to really go to work opposite of Sweat because that's where a lot of the attention from the opponent is having to go.
So my question to you, Paul, is does he need to be in the 15 sack range for this to happen? Or are you just saying as long as it develops where teams are double teaming him, it doesn't matter as much?
The latter. Yeah. If he's commanding the double team, yeah. For example, if he's so disruptive in September, because you know how that's sort of what's the old adage the coaches say? It's those first 4 games of film, and then teams will watch those first 4 games, and then all of a sudden they start making serious adjustments. Now, that could easily happen by week 3 or week 4 if he's that dude, if he's that disruptive and dominant. But to your point, it doesn't necessarily have to be the sack total. I mean, there have been years where Myles Garrett didn't lead the NFL in sacks, but he got double and triple teamed all the time.
I guess where I do think Josh Sweat will have a large impact on this defense. Where I struggle with it a little bit is it's not like the Eagles haven't had high sack guys in the past and they'll give them that time. I struggle this many years into his career that all of a sudden he's going to become this guy that he wasn't before. That's the only thing that makes me hesitate.
No, and that's a plausible pushback, no doubt about it. Okay, other quick keys to the Cardinals D, and specific to Week 1. I look at the Saints, and you see a young quarterback, and Dani, I see one path to victory on offense for the New Orleans Saints, and his name is Alvin Kamara. If Kamara comes out there and he looks like the 5-time Pro Bowler because it's Week 1 and he's totally healthy and he's not banged up, and I get it, he's age 30, but if he looks like he's got fresh legs and he's catching it and running it, and I think he has the most total yards from scrimmage of any running back in the NFL since he was drafted because he's a dual threat. To me, that's by far the biggest key going against the Saints. You better bottle him up.
Kamara's running behind an offensive line with 4 former first-round picks. He is a true dual threat. He can run the ball. He can be a strong receiver, similar to a Connor out of the backfield. There's question marks around Spencer Rattler. He played in 7 games last year as a rookie. He was a 5th-round pick to New Orleans in 2024. Started 6 of those games, not a single win. Now, that's not all just to say it's on the quarterback, but just because he has some experience doesn't mean that this is going to be necessarily strong outing out of the gate. I mean, if you're asking, the Cardinals have a very clear advantage when you're looking at the defense and the experience and the veterans that they have on this team going up against still an unproven quarterback. Now, that's not to say that Rattler is not a good quarterback. He's actually pretty good too. He had a lot of designed rollouts last year. So somebody who, when he can escape the pocket, can still be a threat. And despite Kellen Moore being a first-year head coach, he is someone who has found success everywhere he's been an offensive coordinator throughout his career. So it is a huge advantage for the Cardinals defense going up against Rattler and having Kamara in the backfield when you're looking at the Saints offense. There will be challenges. I mean, it's still week 1. There's a lot of unknowns. So no matter how much you can prepare for a team, there's still going to be things you're not expecting to see week 1. But the Cardinals defense has a very big leg up on the Saints offense.
I mean, if you're looking for an ISO cam, picture-in-picture, maybe the front 7 cam, and see all the creative, unique looks that Nick Rawls might dial up to try and confuse the young quarterback. You know, I've semi-joked the name of the game plan against Spencer Rattler for the Cardinals D is kitchen sink, because you're throwing everything, including the kitchen sink, at him. You know, you got to make the young guy think, right?
Oh, no, absolutely. Although, again, he hasn't had really any success on the NFL level as a starting quarterback. But at the same time, it's not like it's Tyler Shook and he hasn't played in a game. I mean, it's Spencer Rattler's seen some defenses. It's not like you're going against a rookie quarterback. I'm fascinated to what Dani's point is like this week 1 thing. You know, we're doing our picks thing again this year where we pick all the non-Cardinal games every week. And as I'm going through it, I'm like, I felt comfortable with about a third of my picks. And because it's week 1 and because I'm thinking, okay, I think this team is going to be better, but like, who knows about X or Y or Z or how it turns out. And on top of all that, usually the first couple weeks ends up having games where when you look back in December, you're like, how did that end up being the result of those 2 teams together? Because now that we're through the season and we've seen what these teams are about, that never should have happened, you know? So,
for example, New Orleans last year, they won their first 2 games. They scored 90-plus
yes,
points.
I forgot about
the
that.
first 2 weeks of last year. So they were 2-0, and they ended up a 5-win team. So, yeah. Look at the Cardinals in Buffalo last year. They're up 17-3 in the first half. And then Jonah Williams got hurt. And then all of a sudden, the offense bogged down. And Von Miller.
Marvin wasn't quite ready.
Yeah. And so, yeah, to Darren's point, you never quite know in week 1. I mean, the only other way, I guess, is the whole Kellen Moore factor. Because in 4 games against Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rawls, he is 3-1. And he's put up some points when he was the Dallas OC, and they were running the Philly defense. Although one of those games got sideways in a big way. I think Dallas put a 50-burger on the board because it was the last game of the year, and Philly had already clinched, and they were playing third stringers. So that one's sort of an outlier. You can throw that out. But, I mean, Kellen Moore is looking at the Cardinals' defensive coaching staff and said, hey, I've been there and done that against these guys.
A lot of the praises for Kellen Moore are kind of similar to Jonathan Gannon as a very young head coach, found a lot of success as a position coach or a coordinator, and also being deemed very creative and very innovative. And that's how people describe Gannon and Rawls as well with his defense. And that's how people see Moore with his offensive mindset, who's going to be calling plays for the Saints. So I think it's going to be a fun little battle.
Before I move off of the defense, Calais Campbell. Darren, give us a word. You've covered, his entire career. You saw him up there. He's named a captain, and just he's talking about how he's ready to go. It strikes me that Calais, without actually asking him, has used every single moment from when he signed to be regular season ready.
Yes.
Some guys are regular season ready in July. No. Like he's ready now that it's September.
Yeah, I had a chance to talk to Calais recently, and I have a big story up on azcardinals.com, so hopefully everybody kind of check it out. What kind of looking back on his first tenure with the Cardinals and how he got back here. However, along what you're saying, one of the things I've liked most about Calais is the way he's been able to balance this idea that I can still make an impact. I believe I'm an impact player, a game wrecker, as long as I have the right amount of snaps, but at the same time saying, I understand I'm 39 years old. It's funny, one of the questions I asked him, I said, so when you come back, I said, when I walk through this building sometimes, I've been around here such a long time that, you kind of have memory points where you see something and it kind of triggers something that happened a long time ago. When you got back in this building, do you kind of reminisce and do you kind of feel again like you're 25 instead of 39? And he chuckled and he goes, I'll be honest. He goes, I know I'm 39 pretty much all the time. And he goes, and I feel good right now. He goes, this is even after we played. So I love the fact that he understands where he is in his career, but also wanting to be the best he can be. And there's a confidence there. And I just think with him on the defensive line, we've talked about the defensive line lots of times. If we're talking about what the Saints are going to be able to do offensively and all that stuff, I have a lot of faith in what this defensive line can do in this first game against Spencer Rattler, against holding out on Alvin Kamara. And I believe that at least this first week will make the difference in the game.
It's a great story coming back to the team that drafted you. You spent the first half of your career. The Cardinals wouldn't have made that move if Campbell still couldn't play. So now I am excited that it is a great story. I'm ready to see him play, right? Like I'm ready to see the 18-year vet back in a Cardinals uniform and play. There's a reason Darius Robinson, despite only being teammates with Campbell for a few months at this point, said that Campbell has been the best teammate he's ever had because of the leadership, because of how blunt Campbell is when watching film and helping his teammates around him get better. It's no surprise that Campbell was one of the 7 team captains voted on by the players. It was 3 offense, 3 defense, 1 special team. So you've got quarterback Kyler Murray, you've got running back James Conner, center Yeldon Froholt, and then on defense it's Campbell, it's safety Budda Baker, it's linebacker Mack Wilson Sr., first-time captain, and then special teams it's safety Joey Blount.
It's Dani just talking about the Darius thing and getting mentored by Calais triggered something. It was funny at one point I was asking about being the mentor and talking to these guys, and Calais is like, he goes, I think they're a little taken aback sometimes how aggressive I am and that kind of stuff because, and he goes, I used to, when I communicated with guys, I used to put a little more sugar on it. He goes, I don't do that anymore because you know what? He goes, when you're on the cusp, there's an urgency. And I just love that line.
Yeah.
Because that's where he sees this team. And I think we all know, like, what we're looking at this season, like, there's an urgency for this team to succeed and win games. And there's a lot of people. I mean, the whole team's invested. The whole coaches, everybody's invested in winning. But there are a handful of people that it's a little bit more urgent to do so than others. And that's the attitude they have to go into, especially, again, when you're looking at the schedule where you're playing the Saints and then you're playing the Panthers. And the reality is these are games you need to get.
Well, and there's a tendency in the NFL, especially if you're a young guy, right? Oh, I've got a 10-year career ahead of me. You know, if it doesn't work out tomorrow or this year, there's always next year. Well, look at Calais. He went to the Super Bowl as a rookie. Has not been back since. 18 years later, he's trying to get back to the Super Bowl. So this isn't baseball. There isn't another regular season game tomorrow. It's the NFL. So, yes, there's inherently a lot of urgency, no doubt about that. You know what? Before we get to the offense, since we already went into the cold tub time machine just automatically by talking about Calais Campbell.
Yes.
I think it's time to raise the competition level, and I know we'll be going to the archives, and most likely someone will be taking yet another L, not only in this show to date, but based on last season. It's time for Wise Guy.
It's time for The Wise Guy, the world's fastest growing Cardinals quiz show. The stakes are low, the winner gets absolutely nothing. Here's your hostess with the mostest, Dani Sureck.
When we did a little test run of this for a preseason game, Paul, I gave you the upper hand and I let you pick first. However, now it's regular season ready. So we will be doing this trivia every week for those who did not tune in last year. So welcome to Cardinals on the Ground. We do this every week based on the opponent or the city that we are traveling to. So this will be all Saints New Orleans focused. Darren wiped the floor with Paul last year, so
Really?
Darren gets
Really?
first pick
I see.
of question 1 through 4 he would like to ask.
Actually, I'm in
Have
favor of
answered.
this because it'll give me time to route Chat GPT through my phone. Just like,
No.
just like
We
hi-
are anti-AI
just
on
like
this podcast,
high school
Paul.
students in exam time. Here we go.
I'm going to go with question number 1, Dani.
Okay. This former Cardinals and Saints offensive lineman was dubbed Pro Football's dirtiest player in a 1977 Sports Illustrated cover story. The SI cover currently hangs on a wall in a conference room here at Cardinals HQ.
Conrad Dobler.
Correct. Off
Come
to a
on.
good start.
Come on. See, it's conspiracy. All the ones I know
No,
are opposed to Darren.
No.
Here
You
we go.
sound like
Here
people
we
in my
go.
Twitter mentions. There is no conspiracy theory, okay?
Wow. Okay.
Everyone just heard Darren
I mean-
randomly
Wow.
picked his question.
We have to admit that Paul is the king of conspiracy with after what he was doing with your picks and like other stuff he's talked about.
Well,
Anyways.
okay. So the mean mug I was asking for off the top just surfaced now here. Go ahead, Dani.
But, Paul, how do you not know the rules?
Here we go.
You pick a question,
Okay.
2 through 4.
Okay. Buddha Baker.
3.
Thank you.
At halftime of Super Bowl 36 between the Rams and the Patriots in New Orleans, this performer famously opened their jacket to reveal an American flag while the names of the 9/11 victims scrolled on a screen in the background.
Halftime show. New Orleans Super Bowl. Who was it again? Patriots and Rams?
Yes.
So that's the one that McVay lost. So that was 2018. Oh boy. No idea.
First of all, it was 2002 Super Bowl, right? It was earlier. It was when the Patriots played
That
the Rams,
sounds right.
the first one.
Oh.
Because it's Bono, isn't it?
It sure is.
Yeah.
Darren with the steal.
I was 15 years beyond it.
Yeah, because it was right after 9/11.
Okay.
So
Gotcha.
I'll take number 4.
I'm not laughing at you, Paul.
I have no idea.
I'm laughing
You have no
at
idea.
something else that
You-
happened
you-
earlier
you have
today
no
that
idea
I'm just
how little
reminiscing
importance
on.
I attach to stuff like you just asked. Like, I have no chance at that kind of pop culture stuff.
I also don't come up with the questions. I'm not offended.
I could not care less about the halftime show. Go ahead.
I'm not offended. Here we go, Darren.
Yes.
As a teenager in his hometown of New Orleans, this longtime member of the Arizona Cardinals sold concession items during Saints games at the Superdome. He would later go on to be enshrined into the Pro Football Hall of Fame.
Aeneas Williams.
Correct. Let's just continue on just for fun. Okay, Paul, here we go. I believe in you. In the 2009 divisional playoff game against the Saints in New Orleans, this former Cardinals player scored on the game's first play from scrimmage.
Oh, yeah.
Here we go, Paul.
Running back. 31.
You're not looking this up on your laptop, are you?
No. 31. By the way, my laptop just pretty much died.
34.
34. Oh, my gosh. Can't remember. No, I. Go
Tim
ahead.
Hightower.
Thank
It
you.
is Tim
Thank
Hightower,
you.
70-yard touchdown
Oh,
run.
yeah.
Okay, so Darren,
When that happened, I thought for sure, I'm like, oh my God, the Cardinals
Yeah.
might do it again for a
Yep.
second straight year, and then that.
okay, Darren gets the win
Yeah.
for
God
week
ugly.
1.
Yep. All right. The week 1 win that I'm focused on is the Saints.
There you go.
Good segue.
Yeah. I'm not going back to 2009. I'm not going. When's the last time the Cardinals won a game in New Orleans?
Oh boy.
That would be
LaShawn Johnson?
1996.
So
Yeah, but they've only
Were you
played like
there?
6
that
or
was-
7 times
that
since
was,
then.
I was at Channel 5 about a year at that point. I was in the dome.
You
LaShawn
drove that
Johnson,
trip.
200 plus yards. Yeah, I do remember
He was
that.
good.
Yeah, I
that
remember
was before I was covering high schools then, so that was
Yep.
before I even sniffed the Cardinals.
Yep. That's when they used to stuff the media in the back of the team plane. So we're in the back of Redbird 1. And, yep, that whole deal. Yep. Okay. All right. Keys to the Cardinals offense this season, and I have 3, and look, I don't want to be too Captain Obvious, and I know Marvin Harrison Jr. was a big topic of discussion with Drew Petzing, and there's only so much that can be said at this point. But if we want to drill down and get a little specific, did you guys see the next-gen stats that were unveiled for this week? And Darren, you sent them everyone's way. And if you look at some of them, you realize that Kyler's completion percentage when targeting Marvin Harrison Jr. was 53.4%. Compared, and once again, this just verifies the eyeball test. How many times have we said in the offseason, if Kyler could get anywhere near the sort of chemistry with Marvin that he has with Trey McBride, what would it do for this Cardinals offense? I mean,
100%.
It, combined with a top 5 run game, it would propel it into the stratosphere, right? Considering that, Trey McBride and Kyler stay a lethal tandem. Well, the completion percentage from Kyler to Trey McBride was 75%, the 6th highest in the league. So think of the disparity in the completion percentage between your top 2 targets. It's not even close. So to me, far and away, if you can elevate that aspect of this offense, that is the rising tide that'll just put points on the scoreboard.
I mean, we've talked about, I remember going on interviews for outside platforms basically since the season ended. And whenever somebody said, are they going to add a wide receiver? My answer every time was, I don't know if they're going to add a wide receiver. But to me, the much bigger issue is getting Marvin Harrison to level up rather than adding a receiver was going to change the passing game.
Here's the other stat. Marvin Harrison Jr. led the NFL with 40 tight window targets last season. So is that more on the receiver? Is that more on the quarterback? Is that perhaps more on the scheme? Not in motion as much?
The sauce.
The sauce? So I'd say all the above. I'd say, the receiver needs to do a better job of getting separation. The quarterback needs to do a better job of identifying when he's open, maybe not forcing the football and or delivering it on time out of a break, for example. And then maybe the offensive scheme needs to be better, just getting him into space more often.
It's all of those things that naturally you expect and hope that those naturally get better with more time on task. So now that Harrison's going into year 2 where he has said he feels like the game has slowed down, and that he is able to kind of take advantage of a defender a little bit more, not just understanding what his specific role is on a play, but also having a better understanding of what everyone else on the field offensively is going to be doing around him and how that affects his timing. You hope that all of the work with his quarterback in the offseason is going to pay dividends. And you also need to be more consistent in those contested catches. Now, Harrison had some good ones, but that's part of putting on muscle. This is a very physical league, and being able to win some of those tight throws. As the season went on, Murray did a better job leading Harrison. I think of the Miami game when Harrison was, 1, used differently than we had really seen him all year in the routes he was running across the field, and 2, you could really tell the trust was beginning to form late in the season with Murray and Harrison because Murray was leading his receiver. And before Harrison even broke his routes, Murray was getting the ball out. That's what you want to see happen more consistently. And when you're talking about Trey McBride, who is arguably one of, if not the best tight end in the league right now, just on a total ascension, you need to be able to find the end zone more. And last year it was, okay, well, the Cardinals were finding the end zone. Doesn't really matter if it's McBride or not, right? You're using McBride to get down the field to move the chains. And then if it's somebody else in the red zone, that's okay. You're still putting points on the board. Yes, that is true. However, you need to be able to connect with your top receiver because that's what he was last year, even above Marvin Harrison Jr. when you're looking at the numbers. You need to be able to find McBride in the end zone, and he needs to be as much of a threat in that red zone as he is the rest of the field.
I'm fascinated offensively to see what changes have happened and, more importantly, how this meshes together. Because they already run the ball really well, which is what they want to do. They want to be able to run the ball really well. So the question becomes, how much of that gets pulled back a little bit if your passing game takes this step up. I mean, it's if they run the ball the way they've been running and then they pass the ball like we all want them to pass the ball. I mean, now we're talking about like a Chiefs circa 19 or 2019 offense or whatever, and I just don't see that happening. You know what I'm saying?
But on the other hand, Dani mentioned in there my second point about the Cardinals offense. It's almost incomprehensible that Trey McBride set team receiving records for tight ends, set NFL records for tight ends, and didn't have a touchdown catch until week 17. Yeah. That's got to change.
Oh, I agree with it. I'm
right.
Absolutely.
So if that does change, there's an obvious way where this Cardinals offense gets a lot better.
You want to talk about the defense throwing the kitchen sink at quarterback Spencer Rattler? Let's throw the kitchen sink at Trey McBride and see what sticks to get him the ball in the end zone.
By the way, the other next-gen stat they threw out there, do you realize that 46% of the Cardinals' end zone targets last season went to Marvin Harrison Jr., the second highest in the NFL? So is that because once in the red zone, teams jumped Trey McBride and just said, hey, 85's not beating us? But suffice it to say, I'm sure the Cardinals coaches are well aware of that trend, and maybe that's something they try and break.
No, I absolutely
think. As they self-scouted?
Yeah, McBride needs to get in the end zone more often. But I think overall, generally, I think the Cardinals need to get in the end zone more often. I mean, that was... they would get down. If they got goal to go, they'd get the touchdowns. But there were too many times in the red zone where they were not finishing a drive with either they're turning it over or having to kick a field goal. And it's great for Chad Ryland. But I think that's going to be a key to their season is as much as we talk about the passing game generally, to me, having things click when they get to the red zone a little bit better makes more sense in terms of a kind of game changer.
That faltered more in the second half of the season because to start the season, the Cardinals were very good in the red zone and very good in goal-to-go situations. So they had a hot start last season.
And the last one is deep shots, explosives in the pass game. And we can give you all these sort of stats and analytics and metrics. The big one to me is in 2021, Kyler's passer rating on deep shots, pass attempts of 20 yards or more, was 111. The last 3 years, it's been 49.9. So, okay, can you just get a little bit, your top 5 in the league in explosive runs? Can you at least get it to the middle of the pack in explosive pass plays?
There's got to be a happy medium there because when you're looking at the 2021 season and the team, not only was this a different coaching staff, it was an entirely different offense. Like that team, I mean, they were a pass-first team, right? So that's not what this is now. So you have to find the happy medium of, yes, being more consistent, taking more deep shots, and being more of a threat when it comes to stretching the field, while also having an understanding that this is a run-first offense. So to try and replicate those specific numbers from 2021 is not realistic.
By the way, speaking of quarterbacks, you see the local kid was signed to the practice squad, Keaton Slovis.
I did see that.
How about that? Desert Mountain High School.
We move on from Clayton Tune to Keaton Slovis.
And Clayton Tune moves on to Green Bay.
That's true.
Revenge game.
Okay.
Well, Isaiah Simmons is no longer there.
You're right. That's true. And there's no other
wow.
reason to be paying attention to the Packers when they come.
Yeah,
than
absolutely
Clayton
not.
Tune.
Yeah, no, you're right. There's
Just
zero,
saying.
Zero reason. Okay.
Okay, next topic.
All right.
You guys don't want to open that can of worms.
Speaking
Well,
of...
we will.
Speaking
eventually.
of, so when teams come to town week 4 and the Seahawks, they're going to see the rivalry uniforms. Your reaction,
The
Dani?
last place Seahawks? You drop that part of their name now?
Well, it was the last place 49ers last year, so I wish
that never stopped you before
That's
when
true.
it came to the Seahawks.
You're right.
Paul.
You're right. I'm not in regular season form yet. You're
Come
right.
on.
I need to make that halftime adjustment here on the underground.
The rivalry uniforms are pretty sick, and I say that objectively, especially when you're looking at the rest of the division, and it's also the AFC East, right? Yeah, because Buffalo, yeah, but which are sick as well. The Cardinals uniforms are very clean. The state flag is back on the shoulder, that patch, and that is something that fans have been clamoring for a very long time. You can tell there was a lot of intentionality behind the coloring and the texture and the decisions behind every aspect of the rivalry uniforms, which I really appreciate. Those will be worn that Thursday night game against the Seahawks. Though that's the only time they will be worn. This whole rivalry theme that the NFL is doing is they pick 2 divisions, and then you can wear those uniforms at home against a division rival once a year for 3 years. So the Cardinals will wear these uniforms once a year for the next 3 years, and then that's it. But what is funny is the Rams and the 49ers also pick their home games against the Seahawks to wear their rivalry uniforms.
I did not know that. Really?
Yes, all 3 other teams chose Seattle.
See, the disdain for Seattle
Well,
is almost...
I think it's more of a scheduling coincidence.
It's universal. No, they're going to blame the schedule. The real story is just everyone
I need to let him have his conspiracy theory.
Everyone dislikes the Seattle Seahawks, in particular the 12s. Now, Darren, what kind of plausible explanation could there be other than that?
Well, as you well know, Paul, the NFL schedule is dotted with different things: salute to service,
Sure,
cancer awareness, things like that. There's other things involved, but there was only so many. First of all, everybody was going to have to pick a division opponent, and then it was also going to depend. It couldn't be too early in the season for various reasons. Originally, I'd heard it couldn't be too late in the season, but I think the 49ers ended up picking Week 18 after all that anyway. So
funny how the Niners, by the way, changed this year to white uniforms the first 6 weeks of the year at home. Why? Because they made the critical mistake last year in Week 4. It was Week 4,
when we
right?
were
Week
melting.
5.
Week 5
was when the Cardinals went there.
when it was 111 down on the sideline, and they made the critical mistake of having opted for the red jerseys, and the Cardinals were allowed to wear the white.
Well, and to be going back on that real quick, teams have to put in what jerseys they're going to wear, like in the off season, early in the off season. So when they were trying to make a change, like in the season, the league is like, no, that's not happening. So
wait,
better safe than sorry. So they don't know how hot it's going to be.
Okay, so back to the Seahawks.
Maybe it'll be 20 degrees.
Back to our disdain for the Seahawks. It's this dislike of Seattle that is unifying
that's right.
divided country.
Correct.
So I think we can all salute that. Yes. Okay.
Sure.
Rivalries, baby.
Rivalry uniforms. By the way, the state flag on the sleeve needs to be a hat. They need to put the state flag logo on a hat.
It's outlined in copper. It's pretty sweet.
We haven't even talked about the red face mask, which a lot of fans have talked about for a long time. We have a red face mask now on these helmets.
So has that been a double thumbs up with the fan base with the red
the
red face mask?
I mean, I think, like Dani said, I think pretty across the board. I feel like these uniforms have been accepted really, really well. I know the players love them. I know not everybody does, and I also think that some of it is, again, understand the target audience, and you and me, Paul, are probably not the target audience. Although, again, I love them a lot. From the first time I saw them, I love the details like Dani was talking about. I love the copper in the beak on the helmet. I love the flag, how it kind of pops there. There's different things that I really like on it. And I thought, and this is my opinion, but I think there's some good parts to some of the other jerseys. But to me, overall, it felt like the Cardinals did the most with trying to make this a thing. Like, I felt like all the other teams, it was a little bit more low key of an effort, in my opinion, than I felt like we totally went outside the box.
I agree. When you're looking, I mean, the desert and whether or not they're stereotypes or they're real or maybe both, I think does lend a little more help than like what do you kind of do when you're in Seattle and it just rains all the time. I do want to give props though to Buffalo because I think we kind of disagreed on that one, but I thought Buffalo's were sick. The all white and the icy blue and it's a little silvery. Buffalo also hit it on
I
the
will
head.
say this. When you first brought it up to me, I hadn't looked super closely. I do love that silver buffalo on the shoulder. Now, maybe for me, I love the Cardinals whites, and I don't see a lot different between what Buffalo did and what the Cardinals already have with the white, so maybe I was just used to it a little bit more, but I do think there's some of the better ones.
All right. So can I say the Cardinals rivalry uniforms, they slap? Can I say that, Dani?
Sure.
Winning behavior. Let's get at it.
I see you. Let's go.
Can you display winning behavior? You have to consistently display winning behavior.
That's winning behavior.
You got to define what winning behavior is and hold people to that standard.
Yes.
All right. The Micah Parsons trade. Somebody threw this in here.
It wasn't me.
Is this like gallows humor? How can this be winning behavior? What are we talking about?
Well, I mean, if you're the Packers, it's probably winning behavior, don't you think? If you're Micah Parsons, it's probably winning behavior.
Considering you gave up 2 draft picks that, if all goes well, will be in the high 20s, and you gave up an interior D lineman who already has some miles on the odometer, and you got one of the premier pass rushers in the league, I would agree with Darren. I'll take the guy off the edge. And Danny's laughing. I'm not exactly sure why. And I'm wondering, is this
what you were thinking about earlier?
Is this at my expense?
I would love to know.
This is not at your expense. It's just when it is just re-explained, it just
Come on.
is humorous. Look, I have to be careful because if I really go in depth about how I feel, people are going to come at me and say that I'm still a Cowboys homer, even though I'm not. Craig Greeley believes that.
Tell Craig to go take a long walk off a short
Here's the thing. This just feels like malpractice because if you were interested in making a trade for one of the best defenders in the league, you should have been having those conversations. Even if you still wanted to get a new contract done, you should have been having those conversations in the spring so that teams could properly allocate their cap space. So teams could figure out if they wanted to make that trade and maybe leverage draft picks from this year and affect how they draft. The Cardinals could have gotten that's a good Freudian slip. The Cowboys could have gotten so much more than they did for Micah Parsons. You could have gotten so much more than 2 first-round picks from a team that is ascending and expect to be good and not be a very high draft pick and an older interior defensive lineman. If you want to be better at stopping the run, that's one thing, but to completely twist that and say that you feel more apt to win a Super Bowl by not having Micah Parsons on the field was just...
So the Luka comparison is accurate, in your opinion?
Honestly, that's what I was just going to say, is to me, which is crazy because it's another Dallas team, but it feels like the same. When I read ESPN with Jeremy Fowler and Don Van Natta did a really good long form about the kind of doing the TikTok of the how it all went down, and them talking about how the Cowboys had to give the Packers permission to talk about the contract before they had even really finalized what the trade was going to be. It feels so much like, again, the Dallas team picks one team they're dealing with, and then they're going from there.
Look, this is not the first and it's not the last player that the Cowboys are going to have some sort of standoff with. This just became so messy and felt like such a clash of egos. It did not feel like a lot of other contract negotiations or discussions that we hear, not just with the Cowboys and their own players, but even around the league. I will say I did have fun as soon as the news came out, immediately tuning into some local coverage. A lot of former colleagues. Dallas coverage and former colleagues and people I respect, and hearing them talk about the trade as if the sky was falling. Like, media coverage in Dallas is a whole different ballgame than it is in Arizona. And to hear somebody say right off the top that Jerry Jones was seemingly trying to give Nico Harrison a run for his money for worst GM the city of Dallas has ever seen.
Man.
What wasn't winning behavior, Paul?
Okay.
There were 16 AFC teams that Micah Parsons could have gone to, and instead he just moves to another team on the Cardinals schedule. So the Cardinals went from facing Micah Parsons to facing Micah Parsons. Michael Parsons, I'm sorry. I misspoke.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. All right. So let's see here.
Not winning behavior.
Okay. There's only one Patrick Mahomes. Or is there?
Ugh.
Yeah, that
this
Nebraska.
Is also not winning behavior.
That Nebraska game was something else, was it not?
Well, I remember they were talking about this last year with Nebraska's quarterback Dylan Raiola, who wears 15, he wears his hair the same, he wears glasses, he's got the little goatee.
Same mannerisms and stuff,
we've
whatever.
We've officially reached creepy territory because he has gone so far as to say, oh, it's not my fault I look like Patrick Mahomes, but you have the same haircut and you wear the same clothes and you do the same routine when you're running out of the tunnel, when you're like, you are intentionally trying to be like Mahomes. And then Mahomes was at the game because it was played at Arrowhead Stadium. It just we're entering like it's weird, it's creepy at this point.
Dylan Raiola, who played a whole season at Chandler High School, among the 3 or 4 high schools he went to.
Yes. It's a little uncomfortable, a little bit. There's no doubt about it.
Watch him end up coming here in the draft in a couple years.
What's this last one? Someone's going to have to help me out.
I'm going to help you with this because this
go.
is awesome. This was from my mailbag, Paul.
Okay.
Somebody came in with a question and they said, I wanted to reach out to you, Darren, because you have omnipresent candor. And I'm like, I'm bringing that up on the podcast.
So that's a positive.
I think that's winning behavior. If I have omnipresent candor, yes, absolutely.
Is that akin to like Calais Campbell telling it like it is in the film room
Yes.
with Darius Robinson?
I think I'd like to believe so.
Okay? I see. Okay.
Although there's
All
one
right.
thing on here we don't have, and I don't want to deprive Dani. I mean, I feel like, and I know we've possibly, but like, are we kind of, where are we officially with where Carolina is with their football program?
I'm not even going to get into Bill Belichick and his 34-year younger girlfriend, Jordan Hudson, because you deprived all of our Cardinals Underground listeners of getting cultured this week. So therefore, I will be tight-lipped.
That's fair. I wasn't sure. Like, we had a lot to talk about with the Saints. We had to talk about the coldest press box in the league, New Orleans, which you don't ever have to deal with.
No.
But I am telling everybody, including Dani here, to bundle up, which will be fun because it'll be like 85 with 85% humidity outside the stadium, and then you'll get into the Arctic freezing of the press box.
I'm just excited for Saturday when Paul's going to go down Bourbon Street with me. We're going to be drinking hurricanes.
Patty O'Brien's, Paul?
Hurricanes in one hand, beignets in the other.
Oh, beignets.
Yeah, put me down for that. Is Tyrann Mathieu going to be there, by the way? Does anyone have any idea? He is on the Premier Travel.
He's going to be one
correct?
of the hosts with Patrick Peterson and Marcus Golden on the Cardinals Premier Travel to Dallas, coincidentally, as we're sitting here talking about the Micah Parsonless Cowboys.
Because one of the most compelling Big Red Rage editions ever was a young Tyrann Mathieu, and he actually took us into his experience during Katrina as a young man, and it was gripping stuff. And for him to tell that whole tale and what the city went through and his family, it was
Love Tyrann Mathieu.
It was remarkable content to hear him.
I do not know if he'll be there.
By the way, did you see the Tulane head coach winning behavior? Did you see what he had to say after the win over Northwestern? That's what happens to you when you disrespect the city of New Orleans because they wanted to wear some sort of throwback uniforms to honor.
It was the same kind of deal as like the 49ers. They wanted to change kind of last second, and Northwestern said nope.
Yep. So
now, would he have been quite that boastful if they hadn't won the game?
Come on, Darren. How cold is the press box? It's not that cold. Come on, really?
It's
really?
horrific.
I mean, you said the same thing about training camp and the you just have thin Arizona blood.
I felt like it warmed up a little bit in the press box at training camp.
I
But
see.
I'm the good thing about the New Orleans press box is they fixed the elevators a couple years ago, so now it's not just one elevator going down like every 72 minutes.
By the way, I'll leave you to try and redeem myself earlier in Wise Guy. I'll leave you with a trivia question. Here we go.
Oh, I thought he was talking about his early expletive.
I threw this at
I forgot about that.
I threw this at Craig Grialou and Lorenzo Alexander on the Red Sea Report. They did not know the answer. Here's the question. How many team captains are you allowed to send out for the coin toss? Dani, you know the answer to this, Darren. How many? It is an NFL rule.
Is it 4?
Thou shalt not send out more than
4.
Final answer?
Yes.
6. You can send out up to 6. 6 team captains at once.
But
so, just saying.
He's got to have less than 6. You can't just keep one guy back every week, right?
I don't know. Yeah, you could send out 2, you send out 4, whatever you want. But if you're going to send out the max, there would be one guy back on the bench.
If you remember last year, they only picked the 4 captains, but then he'd pick a 5th as like a weekly guy.
Weekly dude, yeah. Well,
now they have 7.
I don't know.
Do you want to name all those 7 captains, Paul?
Dani already did earlier.
Did.
Oh.
Dani already did.
Thanks for paying attention.
Yeah. By the way, how about the shout out from Calais Campbell and Mac Wilson Sr. That big things are coming. Just threw that out there on his own.
I thought
just on his own. Just this guy's going to be a baller. This guy's going to be a player. Going to have a great season.
If you think, and Mac Wilson's a good example, with Froholt being a captain, another example, like it would be great to feel like you have a front office and coaching staff that can turn these guys that maybe weren't stars or were just role players, and they get here and they become something more. That's huge, and like, quite frankly, not something that's happened a ton on this team over the years.
I just added Yelda Froholt to the first-time Pro Bowlers list. Darren, I know you love the list. The running list right now, first-time Pro
Wait,
Bowlers.
you got a running list? He's going to have like 20 guys by midseason.
It's the power poll of most likely first-time Pro Bowlers. Garrett Williams, 1. Paris Johnson Jr., 2. Mac Wilson Sr., 3. Marvin Harrison Jr., 4. Blake Gillikin, 5. And Yelda Froholt, 6. I might have to switch the punter with the center.
I'm going to propose if there is a limit of how many players as captains can run onto the field for the coin toss, we might need to limit the amount of players you can have on a Pro Bowl watch.
You know what? I think that's a fair. All in favor say aye. Aye.
You know how there was a bonus practice this week? I have a bonus gripe, bonus grouse, a complaint. We did the fantasy football draft the other night. Why, if you can draft kickers, why are there not fantasy punters? I demand that there should be a punter added to fantasy football teams across America.
There probably are leagues, Paul, because last year was the first year you played fantasy football. So this is still somewhat new to you. It sounds like you might be ready for an advanced version, or maybe you play like Dynasty. Or I have a friend's husband who's in a league, and if you lose your matchup that week, you have to place all of your players on the waiver wire and essentially reassemble a new team if you don't win your matchup. So really, the world is your oyster if you want some different things in fantasy football, Paul.
Well, I don't know this much, but I know this much. In conclusion here, and Dani's regular season ready. I gotta sharpen my edge over here. I wasn't quite aggressive enough for regular season podcasting. I gotta bring it next week.
It's here.
I don't know. You had a pretty hot start.
I think, in with the bleep, with podcasting, we take our biggest leap from week 1 to week 2, and that's my promise here on Cardinals Underground, brought to you by Pacific Office Automation.